Here's Business Spotlight from your local voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990. And here's your host, George Bryant.
Good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday morning already. I can't believe it's Tuesday, but great to have everybody here today. This morning, we get exciting time. We get to turn our spotlight on Triumph Bank. Let's talk growth with our host, Tracy Strickland. Welcome.
Good morning, George.
Back,
how are
Tracy.
you? I'm
doing great. I'm doing great. How about for yourself?
I'm doing so well. I'm real excited about our guest today.
I know.
We have my office neighbor. We get to, our walls sometimes get thin at Triumph, and we get to, talk to each other between the walls, but now I get to have him beside me. This is Doug Vanover. He is about to celebrate his second anniversary at Triumph as part of the team, but he's the first vice president of commercial banking, specializes with the commercial home builders. But I'm just thrilled to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Doug. It's great to have you here, and I'm excited. We got to talk a little bit before the show, so Doug's a fascinating guy, and we're happy to have you here today.
He's got a lot of talents, and I think I'm making a habit of bringing in our team members that have become lifelong bankers, career-long bankers, and Doug is one of them. He started his career in Kentucky and then moved to Memphis about 18 years ago, right, Doug?
18 years ago.
And has had so much of a variety in a banking experience. So he's worked for the larger national banks, some the mid-regional banks, and now to be at Triumph as a smaller community bank, although we're not that small anymore.
That's right.
But having that experience, I think, just brings so much to our Triumph team to be able to work with our clients. But I wanted Doug to really speak to our listeners on really what you found is the biggest difference. You've had that experience of the larger banks and now being at a community bank. What do you feel like that does for your customer relationships?
Tracy, a lot of people, when you hear community banks provide personalized service, but what does that mean?
Right.
What is personalized service? You have nice people, you have good people, and intelligent people that work for all banks.
Right.
But personalized services ability from the top to flatten out and the decisions and the help that's provided and what you as a customer are trying to do, it's more tailored to your needs.
Right.
And the communication is more fluid. In a larger bank, Tracy, jobs are compartmentalized.
Exactly right. Yes, you're kind of working in that silo. I might meet you, but I'm going to pass that deal on to somebody else who then's going to do part of that project, and then somebody else is going to do part of that project. But it's different at Triumph, right?
Right. At Triumph, the underwriting is with me and with my team and not shipped off to another location as a large regional bank would be.
Yeah, which I would assume not only cuts the time down that the customer has to wait for a decision, but like I know we were talking about, sometimes not only are you saying a yes or no answer, but many times you're coming up with more creative solutions, right?
Correct, Tracy. That's a good point. And the difference between a community bank and a larger institution where the underwriting process is separated from the lender, we would try to provide tailored ideas and solutions that maybe the individual hadn't thought about. So,
and you have that opportunity. I know weekly you get to meet with our CEO and our chief credit officer at what we call a concierge meeting. But you get anything that comes up with a customer or deal, you have that weekly face-to-face time, right? Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. On Tuesdays, we do meet, and we meet to discuss about deals, how we'd like to do them, and ideas that we could provide on ways to do them.
Right.
We don't like to turn down a deal.
Right.
We like to make deals. So, Tracy, we like to find ways that we can do something for someone.
Yes, to be able to say yes to the customer and make it even better than they thought it would be originally. So thrilled that you're on this morning. We'll get more into that commercial home building soon.
We're talking with Doug Vanover, and he's the first VP for commercial banking. We've got a fascinating story that he can tell about what he does and all the exciting things going on in Memphis and how they're involved in that. We're into our Let's Talk Growth segment. Triumph Bank and host Tracy Strickland We'll be right back right after this message. You're listening to The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990. Hi, this is George Bryant, General Manager of The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990, with a special announcement. If you're an expert in your field, if you represent an organization, if you think you can help Memphis become a better place by sharing your life experience on family, environment, health, relationships, government, home improvement, raising pets, whatever your passion is, give me a call. If you've ever wanted to have your own radio show or podcast, now is the time. We have immediate openings, so call me today. You can be the host of your own show, a show that you own. Talk to Memphis on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990. My number is 901-261-4200, extension 228. That's 261-4200, extension 228.
And now back to Business Spotlight on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Welcome back to our studios. It is Tuesday, and Tuesday means Let's Talk Growth with Triumph Bank. And our host, Tracy Strickland. Welcome back in, Tracy.
Thanks, George. Thrilled to have Doug as my guest. I love being able to hear what he does with commercial home building. He obviously does all commercial banking, but he's really carved a niche working with commercial home builders. And I would love for Doug to talk about really what types of home builders. Is it like really are they all large new neighborhoods? Talk to us about like just the different type of customers that you typically see on a day-to-day basis.
Well, thank you, Tracy. We deal with the large builders and the small builders.
Okay.
The 1 house, 2 house, 5 house a year
Wow.
person. And I won't say guy because we have a young lady that's turned into a home builder that's doing a great job. Mm-hmm. So we deal with the large builder that builds 100 houses a year. Wow. We deal with the small builder. And you brought up a good point. Where are these homes? You're seeing a lot of construction in the Collierville area, of course, the Arlington area, South Haven, Olive Branch. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of development down there. Changing over to talk about development, what you are seeing is most of the builders developing on their own lots, which is creating a lack of lots for the mom and pop, the small builder, which translates into infill homes. Earlier, Tracy, you asked me what is an infill home. That's when you're driving down your neighborhood street and you've seen somebody buy a house and they're tearing it down and you're wondering why. Or they petitioned to you in your neighborhood to divide that lot into 2 lots or 3 lots and build multiple homes on that lot. That's called infill building.
Okay. So you work with that home builder to not only, obviously, if they're planning a larger development, walk us through that process. Let's kind of take a step back. So if you're working with that home builder and they said, you know what, I already have my land in Arlington and I'm going to start this, 50 house development. What are the steps you would walk through if it's a new customer to be able to, start that engagement and to figure out exactly what the best loan product would be for them, as far as the documents that you would need to be able to start looking and
Tracy, well, if someone was approached us about a new development, the budget is the first thing.
Okay.
You have to decide whether the deal works.
Right.
The appraisal really kind of validates whether the deal works, but you have plans, but usually the developer or the builder that's going to do the development has already worked those plans through the city, the appropriate city or county council, and they've been approved. We would want to see that. So those types of deals are usually done in 2 steps, because if you've got a development phase, if a person's going to develop and build, you've got the development loan and you have the construction loan. We sometimes can do those at one time, but that's a longer and more difficult explanation.
Yeah,
But
right.
what we'd like to see is the development plans, the approval by the municipality.
Oh, so they need to go ahead and have all that together. So they draw up the plans. Ideally, in a perfect world, they would like to have it already approved by the town of Arlington, and then come to you with.
It's
their
not
project.
always the case, but
Okay.
more often than not, it is.
Right. Okay. Well, and I know that we were talking about, like, if it is a home builder that might just be building a couple of homes in an already developed lot. Talk to us about why having those plans are so important. And this was really interesting to me because I didn't even think about this, but it's so important.
Well, Tracy, I mean, it seems elementary, but sometimes you do get a builder that might be wanting to construct something that's not characteristic of the neighborhood or its surroundings. And, it has to really make sense. That's part of the deal. We talk about that at Triumph Bank a lot. And as recent as yesterday, our ideas and suggestion has caused a customer to change his direction and rethink about what he's doing. It has to make sense.
Right.
So the property has to be characteristic, or it may not sell. It may not meet the need of what they're trying to do.
Well, and some neighborhoods obviously have certain covenants, on the types of materials you use, the color schemes, and all that. So you have to take lots of things into consideration.
Right, you sure do.
Well, I know when you were talking to me about the development loan, and if it's a lot loan, I guess you still have to have those plans and specs, along with the tax returns and everything that
Right.
you would need from a customer.
Right, Tracy. The basic underwriting process, we like to see 3 years of tax returns, business
Right.
and personal financial statement, and we like to see the plans and specs to try to make sure that the budget's there.
Yeah.
And as recently as a few months ago, we got a budget on a development that just really probably didn't provide the return and the safety that it would need for the owner and developer to do the project. So our review hopefully provides help to people in thinking about other things to ensure that they're successful and we're successful as partners.
Well, I mean, and that's the perfect point. Like when we really are partners with our customers, and so if you do get those plans and specs, and after you've reviewed it in the concierge with our CEO and chief credit officer, and then you realize, the way they've brought it to me, it's not really going to work. It's not that you just say, gosh, no, I'm sorry, I can't do the deal. Thanks. Have a nice day. Obviously, it's a much more thoughtful approach where you bring that customer in and say, you know what, the way you've laid it out initially is not going to work. But let me suggest how we could make it work if you make these changes and tweaks. So you end up acting, as a consultant to that home builder that could help improve his business down the road, right?
Right, exactly, Tracy. And going back to the first part of our segment, large bank, small bank. Large banks have a lot of demands on the individuals that are on the front line, and don't often provide the time to have that dialogue and constructive dialogue. In order to make deals work, you have to move on to the next deal in order to meet your goals.
Sure.
We want to work with the community and work with our customers and borrowers to meet their goals and to help us grow.
Well, exactly. And I know that you were just talking about, we were visiting, we get to talk a lot since we're next door neighbors in our office, but you were telling me that story about the female home builder that just got her general contractor's license. Can you share that story? It's just, as a woman, I think it's a really neat thing to be able to see. It's definitely a man-predominated business, building homes, and I think that's a really exciting story you were sharing.
Well, Tracy, she was actually a referral from another builder.
Love it.
He said, I have this young lady that wants to be a builder, wants to be a home builder.
Yeah.
And he brought her to us, and she had actually structured her life. She had saved, she had invested, she had done all of the right things, Anna's building her first spec home right now, and has a second one lined up, ready to go.
I love it.
Quite
we
impressive.
Well, it's exciting. Well, any person that's starting a new business, but to be able to have that support, I think we see that universally through our commercial customers. That it doesn't have to be that well-established home builder that's done it for 25 years. We want to welcome those entrepreneurs that want to start out on their own, and the fact that. And what I also have seen is the flexibility in our lending, the fact that, of course, we'd love to have a larger engagement with that more established customer, but knowing that if we're going to take care of this, new home builder as she's getting her first spec home built, and if that's successful, who's she going to come back to? She's going to come back to that person who gave her a shot, who, trusted her and, was her consultant along the way. So I applaud you, Doug, for doing that. And I think that, as you continue, not only as you have that, you get that loan approved, but you keep in such close contact with your home builders. And I know you're always looking at like the internal data and reviewing properties to see how they're doing. Can you talk about that continuing process?
We actually, properties under construction, they have, you have to have a third party reviewer for the draw. So
Okay.
there's always someone out there. There's always someone looking at these properties under construction. But a lot of times in today's market, the lenders might not make it out into the field to review those. We do review those. My department, my analyst, we do get out and we look at these homes under constructions and the lots and developments. If you're not there, you don't know who's building around you.
Exactly.
You don't know who the competition is. You don't know who you would like to call on as a customer.
Right.
So we do inspect those, try to get around to every property at least once a month.
Oh, yeah. Well, and as you talk with the customers, you being not only, commercial home building, but you are a full service commercial banker. So that also means that you're going to allow them to, work with Tim Clements on our cash management side, who we've had on frequently, to figure out, as far as the payment schedules and just being able to make their business as a whole as efficient as possible. So, you're that one-stop shop, not only to get their construction loan going, but to put them in contact with the people that are going to help with their deposit accounts and just their everyday back office operations too.
That's correct, Tracy. We like to provide the role, the liaison to the other products and services of the bank.
Right.
We are that person
Absolutely.
for the relationship.
We're talking with Doug Vanover. He is the first VP for commercial banking over at Triumph Bank. Tracy Strickland is in the studio. We're having a great conversation with Doug. Doug, before we go to break, I was wanting to ask you a quick question about the trends that you are seeing in, here we are, you're working with a lot of builders. Do you see any kind of trends that are going on in what kind of homes that are being built or what kind of communities are being developed?
George, that question so large is taking me a second.
It's a big question.
Well, trends. Let's talk about economics. Really, as a whole, macro. Through the U.S., Memphis is really not caught up with new home construction. We're still behind. We're still behind in lots. And I think we touched on that earlier with Tracy. A lot of the larger builders are building and retaining their own lots. So we really lack some lot development for the smaller builder. And there's some of that on the table. We're beginning to talk about that with developers. So I have a good feeling about construction and our construction industry right now and where we are in the economy.
Are people being a little more cautious is part of the reason, or is it just that we're slow to recover from the...
George, I'm glad you actually said that because I was thinking about that on the way here this morning, is that probably the best thing that's happened, which was horrible, we all lived through it, was our time period 07, 09, 10, and what happened to homes and home construction, and what happened to all of us in the economy. But since then, the builders have restrained themselves and have been cautious.
Yeah.
So, in talking to some builders recently, they see the heat. They see things heating up, and they're putting the brakes on themselves. So to answer your question, yes, there's
A little
more
discipline
caution.
there.
Discipline,
Mm-hmm.
correct. We
Interesting.
all don't want to go through what we went.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're talking with Doug Vanover,
okay,
First
George.
VP for Commercial Banking and over at Triumph Bank. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dig in a little bit more into some of Doug's vision and all the great things going on over at Triumph Bank. You're listening to The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Hi, this is George Bryant, General Manager of The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990, with a special announcement. If you're an expert in your field, if you represent an organization, if you think you can help Memphis become a better place by sharing your life experience on family, environment, health, relationships, government, home improvement, raising pets, whatever your passion is, give me a call. If you've ever wanted to have your own radio show or podcast, now is the time. We have immediate openings, so call me today. You can be the host of your own show, a show that you own. Talk to Memphis on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990. My number is 901-261-4200, extension 228. That's 261-4200, extension 228.
And now back to Business Spotlight on The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
All right, welcome back to our studios. It is Tuesday, and it's Let's Talk Growth with Triumph Bank. Tracy Strickland and her special guest, Doug Vanover, all from part of the great team over at Triumph Bank. I want to let you know, our listeners, if you need a phone number, it's 901-333-8800, triumphbank.com. Great website, has all the great information. If you're looking for a bank to, for a checking account, if you need loans, you're buying a home, or if you're on the commercial business side, they've got a fabulous team, and they do things special. They're really hands-on. Just a really great company and expanding. I think I just heard the special announcement. Can we talk about it today?
Oh yeah, I'm beyond excited. I guess it was right when we got back to being on the air in early April. We were thrilled to announce that we've expanded to the Nashville area. So we brought on a team of complete all-stars that are running that team. Initially, it was just going to be a loan production office, and we had visions that we would open a full-service branch maybe sometime in 2019, but the time just ended up being right, and we got our approvals yesterday to become a full-service branch in Nashville. So that's happening within just the next few weeks. We just have to bring in all the equipment we need and to get them plugged up and ready. They're going to be located in Brentwood, and they're just unbelievable. So I'm thrilled to talk about that. So as our customers expand their businesses, we're getting to do the same. And having Doug on the show, I always kind of love to know more about my team members, why they decided to get in, to like home building is a niche. And you've helped me, I know, with some great car advice recently, Doug, but you're a handy guy at home, right?
Yes, thanks, Tracy. My hobby is repairing things, fixing things, and doing things around the house. So, it's a natural. I like construction materials and working with those materials. Really kind of as a hobby. So
it's a fun. I bet you have a lot of great conversations with your customers. Just behind the scenes, like just to get to know them and build those.
I do have good
together.
questions and learn a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, and then as you, I know you touched on the fact you've got a great analyst and an assistant, but I know just having that team approach is so essential to your customer care. Can you speak on them for just a couple of minutes?
It is. We do. They are my partners.
Yeah.
I will say we have Hunter he's our department analyst, and April. I will just call her my partner, and April is. If you can't reach me, you can reach them.
Yeah.
And I will provide my number if you.
Yes,
it's
please.
333-8848. We would love to hear from you. It's a great team.
Yeah, it's an amazing team, and I know that they're in your office all the time. You're all talking as a team how you can help those customers. So Doug, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, George.
Doug, it's been great meeting you again. I think we sat down and talked last year, and
Yeah.
so but it's
Great
always
having you
great and doing some fabulous things. And Tracy, good having you back in the studios. We'll see you
Always
next
great.
Tuesday,
See you
right?
next Tuesday, yes.
You're listening to The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
I had the radio